Hello, in this video recorded on the 7th of February 2024, we are helping viewers getting started in the NVIDIA RTX Hackathon. We are chatting with Caroline White and Pete Woodbridge from Media City Innovation Hub about how they're building the community in AI, virtualization, VR, AR, immersive technologies up in the north of the UK. After this, we chat with Ross from NVIDIA about all things NVIDIA based. Then we chat with Dr. Carl Chalmers from Liverpool John Moores about the conservation AI and how they're using AI technologies to basically protect animals all the way around the world. I then discuss the work that we're doing here at Scenegraph Studios, building AI avatars to do interview skills training, mental health awareness, and all things tech. We then move on how we would approach the NVIDIA RTX Hackathon, from helping people to understand the actual competition itself, the rules, how would you go about it, how would they actually implement text-based AI to visual AI to just general AI generation. We hope you like this talk, and if you want to get involved, please reach out to us.
Because we're seeing like the RTX Hackathon being pushed onto LinkedIn, thought, okay, let's do something. Let's kind of push something locally, because a lot of the great work from Media City, Caroline White and Pete Woodbridge, is pushing AI, immersive technology, VR, AR, everything to do with virtual production. And we did a session a couple of weeks ago on AI, on like just how to get started with it. What is ChatGPT? What should you be aware of? What's llama models? Why NVIDIA is the trillion-dollar company to take on everyone. I'm pushing on that way. And so hopefully, I think where we're all going with this is just share the knowledge, push the hackathon, get you involved, even if it's very something as small, because to actually install llama models, install a lot of the AI stuff, it's a lot simpler than what you think. It's still a little bit tricky. So that's why we want to do multiple sessions, and we're at Scenegraph Studios. Like, a lot of our team are going to be answering on like any of the forums. If you email in to us, it's about building that community and just getting people involved in the first place. So again, this whole kind of session is all around the Gen AI on RTX cards, pushing the whole AI movement, and there's going to be some decent prizes if you enter into the hackathon. And then that's what we're going to cover. So what is this for? Well, I think it's more for the fact of what we want you to do is have fun with AI. So our company, Scenegraph Studios, we build lots of virtual reality applications using Unreal Engine, Omniverse. We're looking into doing a lot with AI, and frankly, it's fun to build AI and build machines that can actually do stuff for you, especially as a group. And that's why I like Media City. It's just great. It's fun and it's pleasant. Who is it for? Well, this hackathon, I think, is, well, anyone over 18. But what we want to kind of do is just bridge the gap. And instead of saying, like, putting ages on everything, who's it for? We want this to be any level. Even if you're just like looking into AI and going, okay, it'll be cool, I've got on a project, I know AI can fit in there somewhere, either virtual production or doing animation, playing around. It doesn't matter about your level of skills. We want you to get involved, one, in the community, because frankly, there's 25 people here. I know John O'Hare is just like a master with AI, and they'd like have fun with everyone with Media City. So it's all about us. So like, what's your problem? Yeah, I'm Pete. So what's your problem? What you need help with, and we can just point you in the right directions. And that's what I want to build here. So it's again for hobbyists, newbies, very talented individuals. Looking at you, John. And then sadly, this competition is not open to companies, but I'm going to go a little bit more into that because there's a few gray areas which I've sent off to NVIDIA to answer those questions. And then why do this? Why do this kind of session? Why rush it? I know there's only 2 weeks left when we found out about it. It's been pushed together in about 4 days. So it's fast, but I appreciate everyone kind of turning up. Why do it? Build a community. AI is the future. We need to be in it. We need to be in it from one, virtual production, VR, from just building technology. And the only way that we're going to do that is together, and we don't want to get left behind. There's other countries that do very cool stuff. Let's be one of them, especially up in here into the north. Cool. So again, got a feedback form. I'm going to leave this here. I think maybe the actual presentation got shared around. But if we can get your feedback even throughout, put it into the chat, like what's good, what's bad. If you don't like my Scouse accent, maybe I'll get some AI to override the accent. We have been working on that, which is pretty good. So just want any of your feedback. This is about helping you. It's not for you to help us, guys. Like, we want to do this all together. Cool. So the outline of today's session. So already done the introductions. Media City is going to be next, talking about what they're doing up in the north at Salford, along with Salford University. So that's Caroline White and Pete Woodbridge. After that, we're going to be turning over to Ross from NVIDIA. So Ross is an awesome dude, and frankly, has helped us as a company like grow and just won't be seen. But I think like just getting out in front of NVIDIA is what it's all about. And yeah, proper cool guy. So he's going to be like talking about is it GDN, lots of the other programs, the conferences, and why you should actually be looking into all this technology. Then we hand over to Dr. Carl Chalmers, good old friend of mine, very good colleague from Liverpool, John Moores, and his project Conservation.AI is kind of taking the world by storm by using AI to detect endangered species, giraffes, rhinos, everything in the wild. And I do think it's a global endeavor now, isn't it, Carl? So yeah, it's pretty good. So he's going to be talking about like the processes that he does, sharing what he does in a nutshell, and maybe just a few little technical things. Nothing too crazy and in depth. Then we turn over to me again, and then I'll talk about what we're doing with AI around AI powered avatars, as well as AI powered interview skills training for mental health and mental health awareness. And then, yeah, we'll go over to the actual hackathon, talk about what you should be doing. I'm not going to be talking about any of the technical stuff about installing anything, because I think that's all the documents on NVIDIA. But what I want to talk about is more from a high level, from a project, what you should be submitting, how you should submit it, and then just some ideas just to get you going. So yeah, cool. So I will pass over to who's going first, Pete or Caroline?
That'll be me.
Cools, sweet. Yeah, after you.
Great. Can we get the next slide? Thank you. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so I recognize loads of your names. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Caroline and I'm part of this project, and it's a partnership between Salford City Council, Media City and the uni there. Can we get the next slide? Yeah, so I don't need to tell anyone that lives here how cool it is up here. You're preaching to the converted, but for anyone who doesn't know, it's quite an exciting place. So Manchester's just been voted the most creative city in the UK. Liverpool's just been voted in the only non-capital city to be in the world's top 10 cities to live in. And together they have the biggest cluster of anyone doing XR outside London, the southeast. And you've got an amazing games community in Liverpool and a growing one in Manchester. And we just really want to get people together, because I think what happens a lot is people work in different things. They work in games, animation, they might work in the arts, AI, they might be in tech. They don't really get to talk to anyone outside their lane. And so can we get the next slide there? We have been using our space. So we're based at Media City. For any of you who don't know, Media City is where the BBC in the north is, ITV, and there's also a huge amount going on there. It's a really interesting place. It kind of bridges in between Manchester and Liverpool, just up the N62. And there's lots of kind of hidden stuff. And since the pandemic, it's been really hard for people to meet and find each other. And what we're doing is really growing a community. We're doing lots of events which are around emerging tech where people can play. Can we get the next slide? Some of these they're broadly really around virtual production, anything in XR, AR, VR, AI as well, and lots of stuff that's using games tech, basically. And people have all sorts of different skills in this, and we see that with some of the people that we're meeting. Some people are the visionaries, some people are brilliant with the audience side, some people are, the tech innovators, and it takes everyone to make something really interesting. So next slide, please. Yeah, these are some of the things we're doing. We have had a couple of jams. We had an XR jam back in November, and that was like, let's come and make stuff and find out who we all are. And they're totally free and open to anyone. Next slide there, please. We had this amazing AI jam in January, and it was really fun. And we just wanted to sort of respond to this explosion in Gen AI that happened. And, you know, everyone's been kind of playing with different bits, and we just had so much fun. We looked at everything from how can you create something, script something, visualize it, make it move, rig it, and then some of the sort of productivity tools as well. Dave did some amazing chats with us and John, and we definitely want to do more of them. And some of you I know have been to that. It's really just a starting point, but it's happening so fast. And what I really loved about this event was it wasn't just AI devs that came, it was loads of different people who were really, really interested. And whatever area on the spectrum you are, there's something for you, you know, there's so many tools that are really easy to pick up. And then hopefully tonight you'll feel a bit more confident as well if you want to go a bit further, and you'll get that help in the next 2 sessions to be able to do that. Next slide, please. Yeah, next one after that. So also one thing we're doing, Pete's going to talk a little bit about, is some of the facilities we have and how we're going to keep growing that community as well. We are planning a spatial jam in March, so you can watch our event stuff for details on that. And we can't say too much about it, but we're gonna have something that a lot of people are going to want to try. I'll just say that much. And we also try and help people get stuff funded, and we're investing in projects as well. And I'll let Pete follow on from that. Next slide, please. Sorry, go back. I've run through all these, Pete. Sorry, I will let you weigh in.
You've nicked all the slides. Cool. Hi everyone. Great to see lots of kind of familiar faces and things. Yeah, so I'm Pete. I'm a researcher and sort of leading on the kind of innovation projects that we're running at Media City. So yeah, as Caroline mentioned, kind of broadly, we're working with a lot of our kind of business community. It ranges from everything from broadcasting sport out to the world to billions of people at a time, to immersive experiences in museums, to companies looking at kind of the future of kind of spatial content and spatial sound and all those kind of areas. So our job's really to kind of bring the community together, to identify kind of opportunities across things as well. And obviously one of the things that's gonna kind of sort of come through a lot of our projects, we're going to be supporting about 20 to 30 quite big scale projects that are kind of pushing the boundaries, is kind of the potential and sort of capabilities of AI. So it's really brilliant to be here with David and the team, Ross and the team at NVIDIA to support this as well. Do get in touch with us, do follow us. We've got a lot of kind of events and labs coming up, from everything from looking at new kinds of ways to make animation to thinking about how we might teach and kind of educate people in the future. I think this year's a really interesting time to come and get involved and get engaged. So nice to meet you all.
Awesome, sweet. Thanks, Caroline, and thanks, Pete. Honestly, guys, like, yeah, the Media City crew that they've got in place, like the money that's backing them, the fact that the whole council is backing them, to got the government's behind them and what they're actually putting on. So the first session that I went, it was like the XR one, wasn't it? The first one that you invited me to, just to chat. Like, that was just, if you're looking to do your own business, or if you got a business and you're looking to like network, just the amount of people there from all different industries who can just use each other for work, like that's golden. Like, no one else is really doing that, because as Caroline said, everyone just kind of sticks in their lane. Like, oh, you do VR, you do VR, you do games, you do games, but like all this technology can just be used for everything else. And like, yeah, just going on to what Omniverse is for NVIDIA, that's going to be a game changer if you haven't looked into it. So cool. So I think next we'll hand it over to Ross just to chat a bit more about NVIDIA. I'm going to shut up now. Over to you, Ross.
Thanks, Dave. I thought Pete was going to cover it then. I thought he was going on to mine, so I was quite happy with that idea. But so firstly, thank you everyone for giving me the time. I'm effectively really fortunate. I'm down in Reading, like the deep south as it's known, I think. And effectively, I landed by chance at NVIDIA 6 years ago. Never heard of the company. I don't come from gaming. I don't come from coding, like literally no idea where the company was. But randomly got the offer, and the website said AI, and I was just kind of happy to go with it. So I've been really fortunate there to be really inspired by the work we're doing as a company. I genuinely can't think of a better place to be for where the world is now pivoting to AI and accelerated computing. So what I would love to do is just spend a few minutes telling you a bit about NVIDIA, because many people don't really understand the company and how we work. But the whole point is that you've already made a really good step. The fact that you've chosen to join a session like this because you're obviously motivated. I think the bar has never been lower. I've never known a time where it is as easy as it is today to take an idea and actually go and do something about it. So what I'd love everyone that's on this call to do is to go ahead and take action. Don't wait for things to happen to you. It is all out there, and NVIDIA's whole model is very open. So you really do have the chance to drive your own destiny and carve your own path. So yeah, please do be proactive. On LinkedIn, I'm there if you do want to reach out. So a couple of things I would really actively like you to do. Two things. One, on the left, this QR code. I presume everyone has a phone with them. It's the nature of life now. GTC, our GPU Technology Conference. If you can get over to the US for it, it is truly spectacular. It is really insane. However, it's all virtual. It's all free as well. That one on the left is my personal code. I get some kudos internally, and I like to be at the top of our leaderboard, so please feel free to share that one. But just hundreds of sessions, pioneers of AI across the world. Please do sign up to that and enjoy and immerse yourself in there. Completely free, open to everyone. On the right-hand side, so again, hopefully a lot of you here are going to be hands-on or wanting to know more. So we have our Deep Learning Institute, we call it DLI, and effectively it's NVIDIA's training platform. So again, if you sign up to our developer program, completely free, that actually gets you 1 free credit for a DLI, which is normally like $90. And it's hands-on, it's lab-based, it's got a Jupyter notebook that you walk through, and you can pick any topic that you want. It could be large language models, it could be RAG, it could be going through computer vision. There will be something there you're kind of interested in, and you get the GPU compute as well. So please do go and sign up to both of these. Yeah, it's the kind of thing you can go and do. Okay, next. Thank you. So I wanted to just cover, so this is from our brochure, our company deck, again, that's public. Our headquarters is over in Santa Clara, over in Silicon Valley. It's truly amazing. It's just a beautiful building, and it's insanely big. So if you think the North feel like you've lost out, every time I look at the Reading office, it's not quite the same. But really important, we're pioneering a new computing platform. We don't sell chips. We're not a gaming company. We're not an AI company. What we're doing is building a whole different way of tackling computing, and we're accelerating it. And it's insanely difficult. We have actually a very small number of people, only about 28,000 in the world. So if you compare us to your Apples and Microsoft and Amazon, we are like 1/10 of the size. So we do it in quite a special way with a bit of a special culture. But the key is we are trying to tackle the biggest and toughest problems. We don't tackle the mundane or things that someone in our partner ecosystem can do or our developers. We tackle the core of the toughest problems with this new computing approach. And then we want to make it open for everyone to adopt it and go and do good with it. So this is kind of our approach, a bit of the theory. If you go next slide, please, Dave. This is my favorite slide. And 99% of the time when I talk with partners, customers, and whoever it might be, I just go for this in first meetings. Again, focused on pioneering accelerated computing. We're not building a chip. We're actually here, if you can see, really reliant on our ecosystem. So this is why I love to spend time with people that are hands-on. 4 million developers, 40,000 companies. It's this critical mass of people using our technology that moves it on and actually then allows us to bring back the improvements and enhancements, which is what we are constantly doing. It's our engineering team that is truly fantastic at taking the demands of computing and actually converting into that something we make then available. A really big part is its full stack. So we don't just build a chip, as I've said several times, we build the software stack all the way up. So if you start from the bottom, we're building chips. But at that point, we're now building CPUs. We have DPUs for data processing, GPUs, of course, network adapters, switches. This is all NVIDIA built and designed. And then when you go up, we then build it into systems. So our whole model, and we've got lots of white papers around about how we build for our own research teams these really complex supercomputers. We then make it available to everyone. So we have different ways of putting them into a system. How do you put 8 GPUs into a system? We build it, and then we release it to all the Dell, the Cisco, everyone else to say, this is how you do it, and ask them to go and build it themselves. So that's where the scale comes in. That's not enough. You get into system software. How do you put these things together? The acceleration libraries, the green dots on that image are actually each an individual dependency between different software libraries. So there is a huge body of work NVIDIA have undertaken. And then we bucket it typically into AI or Omniverse as kind of a collection of software. But then sometimes we go one step above. So if we talk about large language models, we have our NeMo SDK. So that is a collection of software which people can just use. So you aren't doing the computer science part for how do you make these things work on the hardware. You come in right at the top and you are just applying it to a problem or to an industry or something you're trying to build that's also really hard. So you all come in at the top here, but we have a huge amount of software and technology that is openly available that 99.9% of people don't know about. So just by you being here and spending a bit of time understanding what's available, you will already be so far ahead of anyone else not using the software. And at the top there, like I said, NeMo large language models, Avatar, building avatars, Drive, we're building self-driving vehicles with Mercedes and Jaguar Land Rover, Isaac around robotics. This for me is going to be the next big thing. You simulate and train in virtual reality, and then it applies to the real world for robots, and it means they're going to be better and cheaper to build. It's going to be a wave coming where these things become more and more useful. And then things like medical imaging with Monai, some really good use cases which should better society. And we're trying to lower the entry so you get doctors that are involved in the field using their specialism that aren't worried about the computer science part below. So that is effectively NVIDIA in a very quick nutshell. Please do drop questions or chats in there for me to pick up. I'm happy to answer verbally at the end, or again, I can run through the chat. I don't know much technically. I'm going to put it out there. I'm kind of in the middle. I came from a technical background. I've stuck to it and made good friends with our data scientists. Usually, if I see something, I can quickly guess if there's something you should be looking at. I don't really understand it, if I'm honest. But like the comment I put in the chat there, you talk about speech synthesis. I know Reba is good at that, and we probably have something there. I can usually point you to an article or a blog, but then you have to go look at it and tell me if it's useful or not. One last resource is ngc.nvidia.com, completely free to register for. That is where all our containers are that we validate are. There's also pre-trained foundational models there. You can even go to the playground and either the API, or you can just go play with it. So if you want to play with Llama 2, Mistral, you could just go through the web browser, register for free, and then you can go and play and put some prompts in. So there's a huge amount of value that comes there. You kind of just need to look. So please do sign up, reach out if you want to chat. Thank you.
Sweet. Thanks very much, Ross. That was yeah, absolutely awesome. Kind of definitely going through the tech hierarchy. And as Ross said, like all the software is there. It's all pretty much free, even like the actual courses. Like what type of course would you get for like $90? Do that to pounds, like I don't know, 70, 80 quid. And like the first one's free. And we've been through a lot of them. So like at Scenegraph, we're part of the, excuse me, the Inception program. So we get access to some others and they're all great. Just jump on, get involved, and yeah, that's all I can say from everyone. I was going to say, Ross, like got a question from me. Don't know whether you're allowed to say, but do you know anything that's coming out? Anything that you're allowed to release now, or is it all NDA'd before the conference? So
I had a partner who's doing things with government defense ministries and things like that. This came up and they were like, yeah, we've particularly Microsoft and Google, and we're asking about, like, they let us get an NDA and then you tell us all the secrets. NVIDIA doesn't work like that. Everything is open. Like typically I find out normally a little bit after you do, or at best a couple of days before. We've announced our new architecture, Blackwell. That's already announced. That will be coming out later. GTC is where Jensen comes and does his keynote. don't miss that. It's quite late. It will be recorded for EMEA. But it's there we kind of find out. Well, we have a feeling of what might be coming, but we never kind of know. And yeah, NVIDIA's whole model is we don't want to keep things secret. We don't want to hide things back. We're trying to make them available for everyone as quickly as possible. One acronym I'll leave you with is SOL, speed of light. And this is a core part of NVIDIA's culture, is that, you know, we're moving to make sure we're as efficient as possible in everything we do. So it's not speed of light in terms of speed, it's the fact that speed of light is perfection. So we are trying to minimize the process and look for bottlenecks to reduce everything down to try and achieve perfection. So yeah, no, exactly. We don't hang around. If something's good, then we let the world know.
Yeah, I think that's I can definitely like attest to that, just how fast NVIDIA are moving. Just every other day, like we're like downloading a model. Oh, new one's come out. Oh, it's done the job for us. And I think what, like as Ross said, is like just use the software there, use the parts to fix your problems. And I think that's what I'm going to be chatting about a little bit later on. Here's a bigger problem, a plan. Just use those little bits. You can't reinvent NVIDIA, and don't even try. So if you did, yeah. So it'll be pretty good. Cool. Yeah, I think we'll pass over to Dr. Carl Chalmers. I think I need to stop sharing and let you share, dude. So
yeah, so I'm the awkward one here, guys.
sorry, let me just figure out how to actually do this. So stop shares and then open this up. So you should have access to now, dude.
Let's see. Yeah, cool. I think I do. Can everyone see that okay?
Perfect.
Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I'm Carl Chalmers. So I run Conservation.AI with a number of different colleagues at John Moores University, and a big shout out to Dave for the invite tonight to give us opportunities to talk about the platform. Sort of what's been its biggest success really is a bit what NVIDIA have been talking about, Ross has been talking about, is we accelerate computational workloads, and that's what's really made Conservation.AI as successful as it is. A bit like a lot of other domains, conservationists are completely overwhelmed with the amount of data that they've got. They process hundreds of millions of images. By the time they get through all the images and make any sense of any of that data, it's too late, right? The species gone extinct, or the poachers poached the animal, and we're already in a more precarious place as a result of that. So we started this about 6 years ago, just sort of doing what you guys do now, getting it into a notebook, start deving out, doing a bit of modeling. And then we sort of met Ross, and then he got us very incorporated into the NVIDIA stack. And we're also on the Inception program, which is a fantastic program to be on. So I recommend joining if you can. And then we started to sort of enterprise the AI that we do, sort of making it real time, making it scalable, making it enterprise ready. And NVIDIA's got a lot of SDKs, which I'll sort of point to in and around the slides that we use that we found very useful. A lot of our data now is not just historical data, so data that's took through SD cards or camera traps. A lot of it's real time, especially things like poacher detection. So we partner with people like Vodafone, which allow us to stream images, videos, audio files across the internet and analyze it in real time. And we also work with Reolink, who actually does our source of camera hardware. Where it's had most successes is incorporating loads of different forms of modalities in it. So things like text data, image data, automatic reporting, and audio processing. And what we've done that's been really, really useful for conservationists, that they're not tech people. So a bit like NVIDIA, and I'm not comparing this to NVIDIA because we're certainly not NVIDIA, but it's that abstraction. It's being able to, get the data from the field or put the cameras out, not having to have any code and knowledge, just basically upload it to the platform, let the AI do its work, and get the results out the other end, so you can do what you need to do with those results. So we have a sort of a multimodality set of models. So we do vision, text, and audio, and it really is just the conservationists choose a model, and we have models that sort of work in different geographical regions. So we train our models specifically for sort of like Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, North America. And we combine all the different species that need detecting into those individual models. And that just allows us to keep the tunability of the model, right? Everybody's on a budget. We can't just keep making bigger and bigger models, especially us, NVIDIA can, Microsoft can, but we can't. So by sort of localizing the job loads to individual models, we can keep the tunability quite large. They can literally hook in any device into it. So whether it be historical, video data, SD data, we've even done real-time inferencing from drones in South America. So we've had drones in South America. It comes through the controller over a 3G or satellite network, comes into our data center. We process all the frames, join all the frames back together and push it out to the controller at the end. So we've made that all really accessible. And what's really been good is once you've got all those inference results, all those predictions from those models, is being able to put them into a comprehensive dashboard. And now with large language models and using things like retrieval augmented generation, like RAG, people can just ask questions of their data. So you're using vision models for detecting or audio models for listening, and then using large language models to just simply get your data in a format that you want it, that you can give to your stakeholders. And that's the nice thing about AI, right? It's a Swiss Army tool of technology. You see some of the pictures in the right-hand side of some of the animals that we detect. So these are some of the real-time cameras out in South Africa and Limpopo. And again, you have to do a lot of work with your models, especially when you're sort of fine-tuning them to deal with things like day, night, blurriness and occlusion. It takes a little bit of a process. So where are we sources to date? So we've tagged over 221,000 data points in our training data, and we've currently got 8 models which can detect 77 different species. So we're doing species level classification, which is not the easiest thing to do in camera trap data. Camera trap data is some of the noisiest data you'll ever meet in your life. To date, we've detected over 6.5 million objects. So that could be elephants, rhinos, some black rhinos, and some very rare pangolins, which I'm going to show you a bit later on. Come up to 20 million files processed. We've got over 200 organizations which we actively work with. And we've got over 500 active real-time cameras just on our hardware. And we've also got another 10,000 out in Indonesia that are processing every week. We're currently doing, from our real-time cameras, about 50,000 images a week. But collectively, across the platform, we're processing about 1 million images a week now. So that's quite an incredible feat. And once you get this AI right, it's not just an investment for one type of domain. So we applied a very similar architecture to conservation AI. We sort of replicated that. We were approached by the Metropolitan Police, who had a very serious problem. They basically looking for a murderer in CCTV footage, and they had 100 million images to go through. And using things like NVIDIA Triton server, we were able to process 100 million images in a week. And that actually led to a successful conviction. It was one of the first times AI had been used in a murder case in the High Court. And the guy got 35 years in prison. But we used similarly the very, very similar technology stack to conservation AI to apply that to a very different domain with very little change. So if you get the bedrock right, your foundation right, you can apply this to lots of different domains. We do different types of training. If you're starting out in this, you're definitely going to use either pre-trained off-the-shelf models, where you can just download from like NGC or the Model Zoo, or you might want to do things like transfer learning on it. So obviously, there's not a lot of data available for some of the species that we've got, so we can't go and train this with hundreds of thousands of images per species. It just wouldn't work. We wouldn't get that representation into the model. So we can use things like transfer learning, and with a very modest sort of server architecture, we can do transfer learning to go to species level detection. And it's took us quite a few goes. You're always training your models, but you can see sort of from that picture in the background that elephants pretty much, over 50% occluded, and it still gets it right. So yeah, it's same for sort of like large language models as well. We don't train large language models from scratch. Instead, what we do is either do transfer learning on them, which is still quite difficult, or use things like retrieval augmented generation. So you can give the facts to the models, and it really does help with things like safety guardrails and hallucinations with those models as well. We've got some new kits, so we're going to try and push our models a little bit more. The sort of vision models that we use are things like faster RCNNs. They work really well with things like occluded objects, objects that are sort of different sizes at different distances, but it is a bit more experimental. You sort of have to play around with these model architectures to sort of find the best fit for your own problem. Some of these models are quite difficult to train, so they do require a lot of GPUs. But again, if you reach out to NVIDIA, I'm sure Ross will help you out. The sort of training process, the thing with AI, if you do train your models, which we do a lot of, it's not a one-stop model. There's always room for improvement. So some of our models are on version 27, our Sub-Saharan models on version 27, for example. And the best bit of advice I can give you from training your models, don't rely on the metrics that the frameworks give you, because sometimes your models look like they're doing really good, and then when you push them out into the real world, you get feature drift, right? You get a lot of performance dips in your models. So just be prepared that if you analyzing very complex data, things like camera trap images, you need to go through multiple iterations of model training. And why is that? Because things like seasonality can trip up vision models, environmental variance. When we first trained our sort of lion detection models, it was all done in the UK. And obviously you've got a nice sort of gold lion against green grass, very good contrast. We put that model out into South Africa where the grass is all yellow and burnt, and the lions camouflage really well with it. We have to then recollect data and retrain our models. So it is a very sort of iterative cycle. And obviously, if you're doing things like tagging your own data, just be careful with biases in data. What we tend to find is if we've got students and things like that tagging data, if it's very complex objects, they'll just skip over them, you know, tag the nice shiny rhino or lion centering the screen and don't tag the more complex objects. And that obviously reduces the amount of variance that your model sees during training. Once you've got your models training, and this is why we've seen a lot of the interest, is how you deploy them out into the wild. So we've got some sort of real link cameras sort of on the left-hand side of the screen. They're out in Limpopo. They've been transmitting for around 18 months. They power off solar panels and just connect over the Wi-Fi 3 or 4G networks. And basically when something walks in front of the camera, it starts recording. That is then sent to our servers back at the university. We use Triton Inference Server. Triton Inference Server is a great inferencing server. It really makes saving your models, quantizing them and hosting them for access super easy to do. So we've done 20 million images on Triton Inference Server. It's never fell over once. We've done 100 million images for the Met Police, and that inference server just absolutely blitzed right through it. So key take-home golden nugget, if you're looking for an inference server that does lots of different backends, so PyTorch, obviously TensorFlow, ONNX, this is the sort of server you want to use. And again, especially when you're doing different forms of modality where your large language models might be in TorchScript, you might have TensorFlow models for computer vision and other models in ONNX. Triton just deals with the whole lot, and it's all Dockerized and containered. It's a fantastic thing. And then we analyze that in real time using Triton Server. The AI looks at the objects and then sends out real-time alerts. And we're also starting to build ChatGPT sort of models into this. We're doing a Llama 2 at the moment, where we can pass the features from an image and get the large language model to contextually describe the environment. So not just what's in the binding box, but what's also in the environment as well. And that's pushed out to the mobile phone, as you can see there on the screen. To give you an idea of this, we just caught our first poacher in Uganda last year. So from the guy walking in front of the camera to send it over the 3G into Liverpool, doing the classification, analysing it and sending all the results out to the Ranger team took under 20 seconds. We actually caught our first poacher in real time. So the AI speeds that up. You just wouldn't be able to have hundreds of Rangers watching all these cameras 24 hours a day. It's just an impossible thing to do. And again, one of the big successes is being able to make that data accessible to the Rangers and the policymakers. So we obviously log everything into databases. We create loads of different dashboards for different styles of things. So for example, on the left-hand side on the top, you can filter by all the different species, all the different projects, the date ranges, the counts of all the objects. Also on the top right there, we sort of do correlations between different objects. So this is, you know, what's been seen on different months, and that's great for looking at things like extinction, possible extinction events where, you know, you're getting reductions and no repeatability in the migration patterns that can be analysed and alerted in real time. You've got things like how effective are your sensors being deployed. So in the bottom left there, you can see all the different sensors that we've got and what they're detecting. To the sort of right-hand side of that graph, if you're not detecting much, you need to remove your asset to get more data. And we've got sort of camera health built in as well. Computer vision is a massive field. This is just some of the examples that we're working on. Some of our pipelines detect the individual object. So obviously that's a gorilla in the top left. And that's using one type of object detection model. We've also trained our own pose models as well, which allow you to then do the key point annotations. You can sort of see the middle image there with the gorilla. That allows us to measure all the different measurements between the joints, the eyes, the face, the nose. And then we have a separate model which can take those key points in, and by calculating those measurements can actually give us the individual activity. And also we can measure things like from nose to nose, unfortunately backside to backside, and we can sort of see which animals interact with each other and what their social structures are using artificial intelligence. But for the conservationists, it's just literally either putting that camera out or uploading the image, and this is all done automatically in the background, analysed and presented in a really coherent way. where now we're putting large language models on. They can ask questions like, what's going on in the data. Here's a source of video. And again, this is sort of how far you can push these models. You can just see sort of in the right-hand side here, mid-screen, that's detecting gorilla in what is a very, very dense piece of vegetation. Models off the shelf won't do that. You have to do quite a bit of training. But I thought I'd share this video. It's one of our favorite ones. So this is one of the chimpanzees in Uganda. We actually had a really good privilege going walking with these guys last year. But we love this one because he goes to pick up a stick, goes to shove it up his nose, and then sort of realizes he's on camera, and he knows there's a computer scientist back in Liverpool and decides, no, I'm not going to do that. It's just too embarrassing to do. But this has multiple utility, not just in conservation, obviously security, but the main thing is taking huge amounts of data and filtering it down to the pieces, the golden nuggets that actually matter. Why is that not letting me go to the next slide? This one actually ends up on the NVIDIA corporate blog, thanks to Ross. This was the very first time a penguin was caught on camera using artificial intelligence. These are super elusive animals, and they're the most hunted mammal on the planet. And what Chester Zoo were trying to do was to put radio collar tags. And what they were doing was like having people in jeeps a couple of meters away from these holes in the ground, waiting for the pangolin to come along, and then try and run as fast as you can to catch the pangolin and put the radio tag on. We do that right across the Uganda now, so we can tell conservationists exactly when one of these have entered the burrow, so they can send a conservation team out, do the tagging, and then come back. So that's massively reduced their costs. So just another example of where AI can be used. And this is the same place we caught the poacher, where he was actually trying to grab one of these pangolins to sell the scales abroad, which is obviously really sad. So that speed and effectiveness is definitely a super utility of artificial intelligence. And I think that's me done. I think I'm in time this time, David.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I was going to say there's a question in the chat which would be quite good. And one thing I was thinking about is like how many times do like just the primates, the monkeys, just all the animals just destroy the cameras? Do you have an issue with that?
Yeah, we definitely do. So believe it or not, elephants are the absolute worst for it. They are like bulldozers. If you put a camera out on a tree, they'll just go through and knock the whole lot down. But we've actually had a camera inside a lion's mouth. We saw like loads of detections coming through, and sort of the mouth open up and the camera go inside, and you know what? It still survives. So yeah, we do lose cameras, but that's just part and parcel of monitoring wildlife.
No, I love it, dude. So like everything that you're doing is very awesome, and just that's the thing. So I think one question to maybe ask is like, how long you been doing this? Like I know, but like for everyone else who wants to get involved in AI, what's the runway look like?
So yeah, I also done AI in my PhD. That was the very first part. I was a systems engineer before that, so data center technologies. That's what I sort of done, and then I done my PhD, as you well know, David, in machine learning. So it was using all types of models like random forest SVMs, those types of things. And then after a year of that, deep learning really hit off. And I just stayed in it ever since. I think the main thing is identifying a problem, identifying some very low-hanging fruit, and just build some POCs for it, and the rest will just naturally fall into place. It really will.
Yeah, 100%. That's basically like, yeah, everything that we do at our company is just proof of concept, low-hanging fruit, and I'd definitely suggest to everyone on the call, like the low-hanging fruit, just do something, make it good, and make it easy to use. And I think that's half the point of this, like hackathon is, yeah, what the marking criteria on. Rocking, right? Thanks very much, Carl. Really appreciate that. I think everyone just found that very interesting. And kind of what I want to do here is maybe just discuss everything that we're doing at Scenegraph. So I know like time's a little bit tight, so I want to like jump over some of the things. But what we're doing is basically using NVIDIA software, low-hanging fruit, to do AI-powered avatars. So we're working with a couple of media companies and pushing then the avatars and the large language models. So Carl mentioned about Llama 2. Yeah, we're using Llama 2, a C++ variation of it, so it's nice and fast on Windows. But we're also pushing it into Unreal Engine to use, their metahumans. Eventually, we will be getting it into Omniverse using like their avatar system. But this is basically just orchestrate it all together. So we've got an avatar hooked up to a large language model, but then that large language model is hooked up into a database, i.e. RAG. We'll get onto that in a second, but it allows us to only have the AI or only have the avatars to only speak about a very specific subject. So if you guys are hating ChatGPT or any other large language model because it just goes off in craziness, RAG is what you want. Like, yeah, so we'll discuss that in a second. So what this is doing, we're just typing it in, but we do speech to text using NVIDIA Nemo, and then text to large language model back by processing and generating a voice out of it, and then pushing it back straight to the avatar. So yeah, what we're asking it to do is, can you tell me about what's he asking? Asking CPAs for this marketing company, and a CPA. Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
Sharpening gears for deep dive. Hold tight.
So the idea here is it's processing.
Based on the provided context, I can assist you with your query. CPA stands for cost per acquisition. It is a metric used to measure the cost of acquiring one customer or lead.
So that was only a small snippet because it's starting to go into NDA stuff. So I can show this, I can't show the rest, but that is the idea behind like having a bag onto this where you can just have avatars only talk and retrieve data from a database. And yeah, for the processing, just on, just local machines, because what we think is ChatGPT, it's in the cloud. Anything that goes up on there, we're seeing like, well, they just absorb it all. Lawyers, people who have sensitive data want to keep it all locally, but this is where it's kind of pushed on. So this is a byproduct of everything that we've been doing ourselves. So we're a VR company, we've been building mental health VR for a couple of years, but then pushed on. So after our Spirit VR, which is like all aimed at teaching mindfulness to reduce anxiety, we're getting some very good results with that, with people with mental health issues. But then now that we've reduced anxiety, what do we want to do? Well, I think let's get people into jobs, and that's what we're building next is avatars to do interview skills training. So I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. So the idea here is basically just choose your avatar, do an interview.
The audio's not going through, Dave, by the way.
Isn't it? I don't know. I'll try and raise it up here. So like if not, I can share it, and I've shared the link before.
Think are the most important qualities.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about what motivates you to work in the construction industry? What do you think are the most important qualities for success in this field?
I like working outside and working with my hands. The qualities I believe are working as a team, but safety is priority.
Excellent. It's great to hear that you enjoy working outdoors and prioritize safety. Can you tell me more about your experience working on construction sites? Have you ever worked in a supervisory or leadership role? And if so, can you give me an example of a project you managed successfully?
I don't have a lot of experience working on construction sites. I have done an internship where I managed a few people bricklaying.
You see the panic on my voice then, so it picked it up.
Thanks for being honest about your experience. Managing a few people in an internship is a great start, and it shows that you have some experience in leadership roles.
So basically what that's doing there is, speech to text, text to large language model, and then the large language model is talking about like, the construction interviews, but then, it generates a voice from the response back, and then just talks to us through Unreal Engine. But what we're trying to do, this is the ability to extend it with RAG. So RAG allows you to then just upload all your own CV or your own data on job interviews, but then even after this, AI is to the rescue because we're doing speech to text. We can then outstrip everything into a PDF, but everything you say, we can then use more AI to do sentiment analysis. So if you said something wrong, i.e. panicked and said bricklaying, then you can just basically say, maybe you should have said this. because it has context from the whole conversation. And that's what we want to do, is basically maybe even not like use realistic avatars. We are working to get them better, but even just use cartoon characters for people and like with learning difficulties, young children to get their speech. And we're working with speech therapists, like the only two words that I messed up by saying that. So, but that's the idea. We want to build tech for good, and building it on top of AI is where it's going. So I'll shut up about me. Like, to do a special little mention. Just want to thank Lenovo with their ThinkPad. They're giving us some crazy good laptops to just do a lot of this testing for, new 4090. And like, this is another reason why I want to like kind of, one, reference them, but two, get on the hackathon, because you can win a 4090, right? I think we're kind of coming up, like, I kind of let everyone to speak because everyone spoke about some very good stuff. So I'm going to rush through quite a lot of this stuff just to hit the hour mark, maybe just going over. If you do have to leave, we will share all the content around and stuff. But let's talk about like the main issue, like the RTX hackathon. So if you haven't looked on this, when we share the links around, we've got a link directly to it. It's a little bit hard to find just on a Google search, so that's why I put this here. So just check out onto the presentation, and we'll show that around again, because it doesn't really come up in Google searches because there's so many hackathons. So I had to do this RTX one. It's pretty good. Cool. So what is it? Well, it's to build next generation innovative generative AI projects using NVIDIA TensorRT. And what I'm going to be talking about now is, one, the competition, but two, how we would approach this competition. So this isn't for companies, so we can't even enter. But what we want to do is like give you the tools, and like just the idea of just going, okay, you don't have to make AI from scratch. Use someone off the shelf, change it a little bit, but then discuss about the whole plan. Because when you submit this stuff, it is a lot about the whole plan from it all. So we only got like 2 weeks left. So submission is the 23rd of February. So we want to do 2 more sessions in between this, and it's just going to be judged by multiple experts looking at your systems, looking about what you're building, and we want to build just a little AI project. So I'll put this here, some of the rules, because I've been through all the terms and conditions. There's quite a lot of terms and conditions, and I know from the Eventbrite there's people from certain countries that have joined this call. Just double check that you can submit your project if you're from different countries. There's quite a few not on there specifically. Got to be older 18. Got to be individuals. No teams, no corporates, no institutions. But I put someone there that we need to like speak to NVIDIA, so I sent an email to them already. And then it's more about, can a student do it who's involved at a university, or who goes and gets support? So we're trying to get clarification on that, because I think it's a little bit ambiguous. And then the only point is to use an RTX card with TensorRT, even large language models, on a Windows PC. So you've got to be careful. So you Linux people, I think the reason why I want to do this hackathon is to start doing localized models. And if reading between the lines, it's because ChatGPT, all online. A lot of people are taken away from this now to do their own little like rags on their own systems. So I think it's an easy win. Why get involved? Well, in short, be seen. You should be seen. Like, if you want to be in this industry, so not many people doing it, and we all kind of talk to each other. But that is the idea: be seen, start pushing it onto this, push it to your students, push it to the colleagues. You can win a RTX 4090, and to say that it's good is an understatement. It just blasts through just training models. Like, if you won an Omniverse or Unreal Engine, it doesn't matter. Like, just keep throwing stuff at it. I think I've run some of the largest scenes, like the city model on the Matrix one on this Lenovo laptop running a 4090, and the fans don't even turn on. That's how powerful these new cards are. Cool. You guys can get a spot at GDC. Would highly love to go to there one day. So just trying to raise funds up. Maybe you can throw it onto the company to do a trip to America. But that's, if you want to be an AI, that's where you need to go. And then cool, sweet. So there's competition. There's 3 parts to it. You can either build AI for text-based applications, AI for visual applications, or AI for generative applications. These are very high-level stuff. It's like, what does it mean? Truthfully, I don't know, but that's the point of a hackathon. A hackathon is for the judges to be surprised. Here's your lane. Kind of stick into it, split a little bit out. That's fine. Use the core things, i.e. TensorRT, has to run on that, has to run on Windows. Everything else is kind of a little bit of a gray area, but that's the idea from it all. So whether it's like a RAG chat bot, that you're just playing around with, train it on your own specific data to talk about what you want it to talk about. That's a massive field at the minute. Everyone thinks, oh, ChatGPT's got it with your own like little with your own models in there. No, barely anyone knows ChatGPT. A lot of people in the councils, governments and stuff, they've been told not to use it, but they don't know how to use it. So there's loads of opportunities, as Carl said, with his conservation AI. If you're training images on a rhino, cool, then you can transfer that into training images to detect anything else, like I don't know, elephants, or yeah, like it's those type of models, and people want to see a lot of stuff, especially in the security options, visual applications. This is starting to use like stable diffusion. What is it? Stable video diffusion. Video is going to be huge content. People absorb this so much. And then the generative AI stuff. How do we actually make generative AI? It's like, what is it? Well, hopefully, like we can kind of discuss a couple of those things in the next couple of sessions. This is more just a high level thing, but the idea is to make something, either it's in synthetic data or just anything. So the judging, I've highlighted two parts here, which I think from everything that we're doing, like so my background's in academia, I can spot like little things. So there's a couple of things that you want to do. It's all the three winners, but when there's a demo, to the overall impression of the demo for its target audience, I see this target audience is opening this whole application up into being, here's a plan, here's the audience that I want to go for, here's the AI to help them. Can only just be like, yeah, it just has to be a tiny little bit of AI, but it's about you helping people because that's everything that we want to do. AI for good. Cool. Impact and ease of use. Relative impact of the project. Cool. What's its massive like impact? So conservation AI, huge impact. Cool. What AI are they using? Off-the-shelf image detection with a lot of data to train that stuff. So yeah, you can have massive impacts. Technology, use NVIDIA. So it's kind of on the tin to go through it all. But it is, again, all about this target audience. Cool. Couple of things to go from that on where to get started. So I know Ross kind of hinted a little bit at this stuff, but your NVIDIA developer program, I think it's free to join, isn't it, Ross? Yeah, so it's all free to join. The stuff's on there. You just have to log in. There's so much AI on there. There's so much tutorials. There's so many extra resources. Sometimes it's over kind of burdening or overwhelming. And that's part of the issue with this industry is like there's so much and it's moving 1,000 miles per hour. You just have to be in it. But it's a good thing that you've got a community here because if you're after something, I need some text to speech. Okay, use this. Go see Nemo. I need an avatar. Okay, go see. I think it's Alice. Sorry, don't quote me on those names. Yeah, tell me when I'm on the spot. But that's the idea. We will just tell you, go look there, do the job yourself. Kind of how we're doing with this whole hackathon. The other one, so conservation AI, Carl mentioned about NVIDIA Inception program. So we're luckily on the Inception program, and it is awesome. You get credits with AWS. You get access to people, partners. So if you're looking to scale your business, if you're already doing AI stuff, yeah, they will help you a lot with the support. And to say that NVIDIA helps is just an understatement. They help us amazingly well. And it's all for free. So it's like it's such a cool thing. Same with like the whole Media City crew. It's like, yeah, they
Gonna
just
jump in, Dave.
Yeah.
You're getting very good support. I don't know if it's standard for everyone, but you're doing super interesting things, and I think that's how NVIDIA works. We gravitate naturally towards people that are doing difficult, interesting things and that are going to drive it forward. So I think the amount of support you're getting is because of the great job you and Nicola are doing, building out some really interesting solutions and taking them to the end users. So yeah, it's available to everyone, but what you guys are doing is really great.
Awesome. So sweet. And I think that just goes on to what I was saying before. Got to be seen. You got to do it. You got to push out, and you just got to be a part of that community. And yeah, do tech for good. So highly recommend people just to look at it. So cool. So one thing before I jump on, I know I'm kind of rushing through this stuff. RAG, retrieval augmented generation. In a nutshell, you have your llama system. Cool. Well, your actual front end, your llama system, the brain, the large language model, how to actually constrain that, because large language models can just talk about anything, kind of how I'm doing now, just keep on talking. So what we want to do is constrain it to only what you want to do. So this RAG whole system can be fairly much downloaded. Might need a few little extra commands. So if you're okay with Visual Studio or like just a little bit of code, you should be golden. But the idea to actually put stuff into this database and vectorize it, it's as simple as just getting some Word documents or some PDFs with text on and dropping it into a folder, pressing play, pressing run. That's it. And like when we did it, it's like, hang on, that seems too easy. Why is this too easy? But that's the idea. NVIDIA makes it easy for you. So for this kind of talk, I wanted to kind of highlight the idea of like, it's about the target audience. It's about getting the ideas out there to begin with. And if anyone else has some ideas to actually push onto this, feel free to unmute yourself. But I thought I'd just discuss maybe a few little ideas, how we take those ideas and put it into a plan, and then maybe some AI to actually use on top of that, just to get you started. Again, this isn't showing you how to actually install stuff. If you want that for the second sessions, drop us an email on how to actually do that. So, cool. So text-based ideas, text-based generation, because it's like, yeah, generative AI. Some ideas that I was having, just playing around with, is Dungeons and Dragons. So if you don't know Dungeons and Dragons, it's basically just a text like role-playing game where you get around with like a lot of friends. If you haven't looked it up, check it out. I know there's quite a lot of people from different countries here, but the idea for this would be to use RAG. So generate your own ideas, your own characters, your own kind of settings, put that into a RAG database, and then get the large language model to make you a story around these characters. These characters can only do X, Y, Z, or create some stats. Just a tiny little large language model that you just say, create me stats for this type of game, for this type of dungeon crawler. I want it hard, I want it easy. I haven't really seen many of them, but they're coming out, and it's about just tweaking little ideas from it all. If you want to go down a corporate route, using RAG for legal documents. A lot of companies are throwing all the legal documents up into ChatGPT. Cool, ChatGPT just absorbs all that into the framework. There's some privacy issues there. So if you want to start building this stuff out and yeah, kind of make some coin, that could be actually doable, where you actually do this service of just taking all this content, text files, and then put them into a RAG. Job done. You will help that company be local, off the internet, but then it'll just speed up their workflows. Cool. And again, for us, one idea that we had today, because again, like these slides are quite rushed, so I apologize about that, because we had a couple of days. But a lot of our work, especially bug tracking, we can kind of remember, yeah, we fixed that bug years ago. Where's the document? We have been documenting for years, and like, okay, if you got this bug again, do this, do this, do this. It'll be great if we can throw all those documents into a RAG. And then for developers, instead of just asking ChatGPT, how do I fix this problem? Oh, it doesn't know because it's old data. We can just ask it on our own data. And for us, that'll be golden. And I think this is what we're going to build anyway. Just throw these documents. Hang on, like just show me that document where it is. Because that's the other thing about RAG and Llama models is you can ask it to show the directories. What is that file? Show me where it is on your system. Perfect. Cool. So ideas for projects for the visual one. Character designs for Dungeons and Dragons, storybook generator. A lot of these have been done and they're kind of flooding the market into AWS. But the idea is like you can then put on your own style and just rapidly integrate with stuff. Don't know if we're allowed to actually share some YouTube links, but Commodore Crew have a great example of how they do stylized videos on top of their videos. So if you're into VFX, look into the Commodore Crew. Any visual ones? So sign language, we're doing a couple of projects around sign language to detect hand movements. Again, it's very spatial, very, yeah, kind of, well, it's hard to go through it all, but that's the idea. A lot of this is already on the NVIDIA website. You just got to take it and push it together. Some of the others. So I put here sign language interpreter. Yeah, that's just a massive problem to try to fix in itself. But to actually generate this stuff, I put a special mention there for synthetic data generation. So Carl was saying like he's got like 19 million images that he's processing for these animals. Cool. How do you actually generate all those images? It's been 6 years of conservation AI collecting all this data. What happens if you're like a company who needs training on a specific area or specific object? Well, you can use Omniverse, so NVIDIA Omniverse, to create a 3D scene, very highly realistic 3D scene, really basically, and then throw it through Isaac Sim. So if you're interested in generating large amounts of data to train AI, 100% Isaac Sim, it works. You just need a GPU to actually push it quite fast. So I think one of the sign language objects that we're doing, where with me and Ross first started talking, I think we estimated we need 18 million images to just do basic detection, because a lot of the data out there for sign language is white male hands. Cool. There's a lot lot different variations than just white male hands. There's people with missing fingers, tattoos. None of the data sets out there have that in there. So, but you can use different AI for pose estimation or just to train it all. So yeah, that's what we're just trying to work with. Cool. So rushed quite through a lot of that. Well, rushed quite a lot through that, just purely for the fact of the time. So what I thought I'd do, so with this project, when you upload it, it's not just about the AI that you're using. It's not about the code base that you're using. It's about the plan. It's about the bigger picture. And this is what I've got from like the people that I've asked at NVIDIA is like, am I allowed to kind of encourage you guys to show your plan? It's not a business plan, but it's the plan on how to actually implement your AI, but then how you'd actually roll it out to scale to hit the target audience, but two, on a Windows machine, keep it local, keep it simple. If you hit those couple of marks, you should be golden and just getting out there because it's to show the bigger picture. It's pointless just uploading a piece of code and it's an algorithm that no one understands. You have to sell the story. So for me, I've just put together very quickly just the idea of creating a Dungeons and Dragons campaign generator. So who's the target audience? The Dungeon Masters. They're the people who kind of think for a while, make the storyline themselves. Cool. Here's your characters. Here's all your stats. So you can be a Lone Ranger, a Rogue, like a Magician, something like that. Here's all your hit points. Here's the actual characters and the time that you're starting. But after the starting point, the characters can just, like the other people around the table, the players can just go anywhere that they wanted to. So you have like a narrator, the dungeon master, and then you have your people playing the games. What happens to the person playing the game is someone like me that just does something random just for the giggles of it all. Well, before that, what we can do is send a little prompt to a text-based large language model saying like, I want a game like this. Okay, here's some ideas. Push it out for you. Okay, I like these ideas. Take that prompt or that script, pass it over to Stable Diffusion, automatic, generate some cards, generate some maps, generate some characters to kind of set the field, to set the mood. Okay, that's kind of, taking them, pushing them together in like a normal fashion. You can use it in ChatGPT, like the text-based stuff into Stable Diffusion. It's not too hard. Again, it's about doing that whole pipeline. Cool. That helps people. That will help a dungeon master create a more immersive worlds. What happens when you're on like the second round? Because when you're playing, cool, you don't know what's happening, you don't know where it's going. And with Dungeons and Dragons, you'll have one session maybe every 2 weeks for an hour. Cool. Can people remember what's happening there? And this bit I think is very cool. Is the idea to do speech to text. So have someone recording what you're doing for the whole session, translate it to text. Cool. Then that text just gets put into a bag. So next session, when you come back to it, the idea is you remember everything that's happened to every character because you've got some AI model listening to you, putting into that, and then you as a dungeon master can just go, oh, FYI, did this character die or not? Like, what was the hit points on that character? Bring up that information so you can do it faster. And that's the idea. It just keeps on building this data to build this world. So you can technically just keep on going with this whole essence. But to me, doing a plan like this will show the judges, oh, I see how they've taken this llama model, not really changed it, just used it. Taken this Stable Diffusion model, not really changed it, just used it, but then used RAG. Again, just using these technologies for bigger picture to help that dungeon master. And I'm pretty sure the amount of money in Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of people will just go, okay, yeah, I'll buy that. Especially if it runs on a local machine being pushed and driven like that. So you got your text-based, you got your visual, and you got your general. You are free to use that idea. Go nuts. I will say, given the time, a lot of these models are on Hugging Face. A lot of the models being downloaded from NVIDIA took about 28 hours because I don't know if the server was slow or something. Like from Hugging Face, you can get lots of these different models from there, but you've got a multiple day waiting list to actually be verified. So if you're going to do it now. Then you're going to start in a couple of days. So over the next couple of days, do your plan, find out what AI techniques you want to use or what models. You don't need to know the model names. That's where we will help you. It's like, I need vision. I need text generation. I need this. Cool. That's where we point and say, use this model. And then by the time you're doing that, job done. Cool. Kind of rush through a lot of that stuff. So that's pretty much us in a nutshell. If you have any feedback, jump it on, send us an email. My email's in the chat already. And then, yeah, to make this better, bigger, we need you to drive the actual questions that you want answering. And again, it doesn't matter like whether you're first day into AI just be in it. So yeah, cool. And then closing remarks, make cool things, break stuff, ask for help. That's what we're all here for. Get involved with NVIDIA, Media City, go to the sessions at Media City. It's like, yeah, even if you got like university lectures, you'll learn more out the one day than you will in that university lecture. Maybe not the whole course in one day, but yeah, definitely helps. Talk to us at Scenegraph. Our devs are happy to help people train, push them into that. I've allowed them to like extra hours just to do that. And then yeah, spread the word. And I think that's us in a nutshell, I think. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat now. Feedback form is there. Thanks, Pete. And then yeah, thanks very much. Sorry for going over, but I just wanted everyone to talk, and you must be fed up with me talking now. So yeah, nice one, people.
Good stuff, Dave. Thank
Sweet.
you.
No, thank you. Yeah, so if anyone's not got any questions, we'll leave it there. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. I think I can just kick you out or just
really
yeah,
quickly. There's 2 more sessions. I know we said this. How can people get on the next sessions, find out about them? How's that going to work really quickly? Don't worry if you've got to go and hop off everyone, but is it worth just saying that?
Awesome. Yeah. And again, like, please do join the Media City events. Honestly, for the companies that go, or the different techniques, filmmakers, animators, like there's people who are just getting into Unreal Engine. So if you know 2 weeks worth of Unreal Engine, you're 2 weeks ahead of them and you can help them. So speed it up. Same with AI. So yeah, cool. Sweet. Yeah, I think yeah, there's no questions in the chat. If there is, I don't mind staying on. But yeah, you're all free to go. Thanks very much, guys. So yeah, love it.
Thank you. Cheers,
Yeah.
David. All right.
Anytime, guys. Right. Maybe if there's anyone else for questions, I'll wait until people leave. But if you do, unmute yourself as well. So yeah. So Tim, wait, sorry. So there's one question in the chat, and I'll come to you, Alex. So where can I go to learn Unreal? Speak to us. I think we mentioned like the email address. So, but Unreal.learning, loads of stuff. If you go onto their marketplace, there's loads of free assets, and I've just released one today, I think. Loads of free assets. Join, like, just follow our website. We share lots of stuff about Unreal Engine. We've also launched Scenegraph.Academy, which was sharing a lot of stuff and loads of articles on how to get into AI, into the games industry. So yeah, give that one a follow. And then yeah, if there's anything else that you need, just message us. So yeah, Alex, you're just going to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just going to see if there's ways to get, similar like talks like this in front of more students, like how we could, I know, I suppose this is an email conversation. It's like, how do we, make more students and more other people in my network aware of you? Because I regularly get harassed by students being like, oh, how do I get started with AI? And it's like, yeah.
I think it's a good question. So you got Media City, I think, just doing more stuff like this. So if people actually want to do more sessions like this, I don't mind chatting rubbish to you. So yeah, that I'll do that for days. Yeah, so like, yeah, we can definitely hook that up by emails and stuff. So yeah, it's all about you guys.
Sounds right. I really appreciate the session and what you guys do. It's really great.
That's cool, dude. So yeah, I love it. Love that you turned up. So I like it. So cool. Yeah, anyone else? Are we all good? I think we're all good. So yeah, I shall leave it there. So thanks very much, guys, for the speakers. Like, just taking multiple hours out of your day. Like, awesome. So yeah, absolutely love it. So right, till next time, I shall see you.
And get
Bye.
thinking about all those ideas as well. Definitely want to hear them.
Lots of ideas, people. So yeah, it'll be good. So yeah, even if you want to like just talk about the ideas and not do stuff, just do it for the future. That's fine as well. Even if it's outside of hackathon, let's do it. Let's make cool things. So yeah. Right. See you later, guys. Bye.